Mm. Okay, then I share a little bit. So the wedding was like, it was like a picture perfect wedding because number one, it was a 3-day wedding. I felt a bit like India, not so much German, Swiss wedding. It took 3 days. But the wedding day, in the morning, we all woke up at the Zurich Lake on top of a hill, looking down onto the lake. And there was thunder and lightning and pouring rain, and everybody was like, oh my God. But then it was so great at 10 o'clock, the sky opened up, and for the rest of the entire day, there was just sunshine. So, and they got their first wedding ceremony in the highest building in Zurich. It's called the Cloud. So we were all 80 people were driven to the Cloud, taking part in the ceremony up there in the sky, so to speak. Was wonderful. And then from there we came back, and there was a friend of ours who was a shaman, he took all the people from the clouds into the woods, and they did a shamanic ceremony. So I loved it because it had both components, and we were out there in the woods, and it was just phenomenal. And then after that, we just ate. There was so much food and dancing at night. And I loved that a lot of people had prepared either beautiful speeches, poems. There was one young woman, she flew in from Ghana. She was a goddaughter from my new daughter-in-law. And she was singing beautifully. So there were so many entertainments, weaved into the entire wedding time. It was beautiful. So we really enjoyed our time together. It was magnificent. And I just pray it's his last wedding because it was his third wedding. So I was like, okay, this is it. And he said, yes, this is it. I said, and I really feel it's like, they're both, my son is 50, she is 52 years old. I think it felt also they matured. They met each other 30 years ago and then went different ways and met again. And it feels like now they're ready for each other. So I think that was the beauty that you felt in the entire preparation. It was like they're ready to live for each other. So and with that, I would like to leave it. Good. For us, I would like to come into the Kali Mudra. It's a mudra of power. So we will interlace our fingers and the left thumb crosses over the right. So that's important here, left over right. The index fingers are touching and they're extended. And you bring your fingers down and you inhale up, exhale down. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And I suggest you close your eyes. Keep the heels of your hands connected, so there's no separation in the heels of your hands. This is a really focused mudra. When we want to access and use our power as women, this is a great mudra to come home to. And Kali is actually the goddess of destruction, but with every destruction, there's a new beginning. And sometimes the old has to be taken apart so that the new can be born. So this is a beautiful mudra. We're moving through all our chakras right now. It's like cutting the cords from the past. A little bit more. We're keeping this mudra. We bring our arms up, we twist over to the left, We exhale and the arms go down. So the heels of your hands, so to speak, or the side of your ring finger, pinky touches the knee. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. There's an emphasis right now on your stomach when you turn to the left, because actually that's where the home of your stomach is, yes? So there's a little twist into the stomach. We need to stomach. In our check-in, you shared some of the slight challenges you're facing, and we all need to stomach our life. Maybe the residue of COVID or whatever challenges occur. Good. One more minute. All the breath is through your nostrils. A little bit more. Inhale up and turn your torso over to the right. Exhale down. Now you're squeezing your liver. You help your liver to detox and to get decongested. Keep the mudra, keep the heels of your hands still touched. Inhale up, come to center. Now bring your arms forward. Now I interlace all my fingers. So my fingertips are pointing towards me. And I cross the thumb over, left over right again. And now we want to pour the energy into our solar plexus. So interlace all your fingers. Yeah, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, the pinkies are touching. Left thumb over right. Extend your arms, that's your inhalation. Exhale, bring your fingertips close to your third eye, your solar plexus without touching. And really gather energy. Bring the energy into your solar plexus where our power really lives. We're firing up also our lymphatic system. I hope that you feel a little warmth arising inside of you. The Agni, the fire. It's hard for us to live our power if we don't have fire within us. Last 15 seconds. Good, and bring your fingertips close towards your solar plexus. Hold your breath here, pull your perineum, sex organ, navel in and up. So you really tighten everything here. And then we want to exhale. We come back to the Kali Mudra, interlacing all fingers except our index fingers, left thumb over right. Extend. And we want to do the breath of fire. So on the breath of fire, make sure on the exhalation, you pull your navel towards your spine. Inhale, you let go. If you're on your first 3 days of your moon cycle, you would just long, deep breathing. Otherwise, you go like. While you're aiming. Eyes are closed, rolled up to your third eye. If the breath is too fast for you, keep the mudra and just focus on. You can decrease the pace. This breath pattern really fires up our energy. Keep going. It's great for our digestion. Fifteen seconds. Inhale deeply, suspend your breath again. Pull your perineum, sex organ, navel in and up. Squeeze tight. Pull the energy now from the base through your spine to the top of your head. See that you hold your attention there just for a moment, just a little bit longer. And exhale. Rest your hands onto your knees, palms facing up, onto your thighs. Tuck your chin a little bit in, bring your head back so you lengthen your neck. Regulate the breath so everything comes back to normal. And then we are ready for Nirmala.
Thank you, Siddhi. Thank you for sharing about the wedding. It's so, all of us know how it is as a mother to be feeling our child, our adult children's contentment and how settling that can be for us. So I'm sure that you're just basking in that beautiful glow of Stephen being so happy and moving on to this next phase of his life. Really beautiful. Okay, so today, week 91. Ladies, it's like so impressive. Week 91. And I think we have 19 of us that have signed up for the retreat in January. I'm working on the room assignments, but we're moving forward and I've confirmed it. I've put in the deposit. It is set for January 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So if you haven't let me know that you're coming, just drop me a text or something, just so I put your name on the list and as I'm working on the rooms and whatnot. So today we're going to talk, Siddhi really opened us up so nicely to this idea of our power. And so many times people think of power as being sort of an overreaching piece, that power can be negative, using too much power. But power is we have a superpower that is part of our divine feminine action and offering into the world. And how we step into that superpower, those superpowers, is part of how we express ourselves into the world and how we offer all of these incredible potentialities that we have, the way that we work with people, the way that we see the world and come up with new ideas and new possibilities, and how we recreate and how we co-create. And using our superpowers to do that aligns us with such ease with the universe and how the universe is already organizing itself. We want to step into that. So I want to talk today a bit about the secret ingredients, the secret sauce, what makes us vital, explosive, multidimensional in our life. And there is an insatiable human urge to be inspired. We all have a desire. This is that, such a spiritual topic of what's my purpose? Am I living into my purpose? Am I offering that which I came in to offer? And we are drawn to that. That is sort of a heart space for us to be inspired and to feel connected with the universe and with our fellow human beings and with our family and with our communities in a way that we are offering the best pieces of ourselves that we have to bring into the world, that our piece is part of the whole. And that inquiry and that urge is what drives us to keep deepening and searching so that we have this life in an embodied form that's really rich and full of power and full of aliveness. And so I want to talk about our superpowers today. Superpowers, in my sort of viewpoint of it, come in two different paths, through two different paths. The first is a path of cultivating sort of the lenses through which we see the world and how we experience the world. And when we are intentional about cultivating these lenses, we develop a superpower of how it is that we're interacting with the world. So there are 10 of these lenses through which our superpowers can be heightened. The first is curiosity. When we're curious, we're open to new experiences. We're searching for and allowing new things to come in, curious about information, curious about other people's experiences, curious about trying something new. Curiosity connects us to all sorts of people. When we're curious, we're interested in how somebody else is living their life and what's influencing them and what's inhabiting them from their culture and their music and their belief system, without feeling threatened, without feeling the need to somehow change what they think, convince them that our way or our knowing is in some way more heightened. It's a way of receiving somebody else's experience and having a connectedness with them. Curiosity connects us with our innermost self. When you're curious about what's driving you and what questions you have and what is important to you, you start to get to know yourself better. If you're not curious, there's not going to be any new revelation. It's going to just be whatever is forcefully coming into your life, but not that secret place in yourself where the juiciness arises, where this joy that we speak to, this joy comes from this secret place of, it's not a formula, it's not a recipe, it is a nuance. And curiosity leads us to have that experience. How do we cultivate curiosity? Top way to cultivate curiosity is spend time with children. Kids are innately curious. We're innately curious when we're young, and we wean it out of ourselves. If you spend some time with kids and their curiosity over a leaf, over a little bug, over the sun that's coming up, over what are the ingredients, how do you measure something to go into a cake? Why does it make a cake? They're curious about everything. Very rarely do you see a child who's not curious. So spend time with kids. Go to, even if you don't have kids at home or grandkids or kids that you can connect with, go to a park and watch kids running around and how they stop on a dime to look at something that catches their attention. Sometimes we say, oh, they're so, their attention flies all over. Yeah, because there's so much incoming beauty that they want to know about that they almost can't stop themselves. It's really exquisite. So spend time with kids. The second lens is the intuition. We speak a lot about our intuition and how we use our intuition to drive our lives, to make decisions, to feel into what is needed in a situation, to feel into what is our responsibility in a situation. And if we use our intuition in a way that is in alignment with sort of the universe's creation, then we have an amazing power. The ease and the power that is created in that collaborative effort, the universe is calling us in all the time. There is it, and sometimes it's painful, and sometimes it's with ease, but always the universe is so steady. The laws of the universe are steady. They stay the same. And so it's only us that move around, and we're bringing in new ideas and new thoughts, and we're trying to figure out how do they line up with the universal flow. But when we are in alignment with that, the universe automatically creates with our interest and our whatever's driving us, that is inspiring us. There's a collaborative effort that goes with ease. When they say my life is in the flow, things are happening, I'm not bumping up against the walls, we're utilizing our intuitive nature, the lens of seeing the world in an intuitive way, to be able to be in alignment with that which is already going to happen. So it actually just allows us not to have to fight against it. How to surrender. Tuition is a lot about surrendering. One of the ways to develop our intuition is to ask for guidance. When we speak out loud, the desire to be in alignment with our intuition, to have our intuition be one of our guides, naturally that becomes more true for us. Our voice is very powerful for us and for others. But when we hear ourselves say, that is a desire of mine to be in alignment with my intuition, you will find that that actually happens more often, more frequently, and you hone that relationship that you have with your intuition. The third of our lens for our superpower is non-attachment. And it doesn't mean not caring about something, being detached where it doesn't matter what happens either way. It's not that ambivalence. It's about releasing our grip on thoughts, emotions, people, physical possessions, to where those things are beauty in our lives, but they're also fine if they're not there. That we don't have a grasping. It's a very strong Buddhist concept, the grasping for something to be in our lives, to where we will change our entire behavior to hold on to something. Non-attachment allows things to flow in and to flow out, and then flow in and flow out. There's an ease in non-attachment. How to develop it? One of the things that we talk a lot about is accepting reality for the way it is. And if we are able to accept that everything in reality, except maybe love, diminishes, and then it reinfuses itself. Things cease to exist, the plant life, human life. There is a lifespan for the embodiment, physical embodiment. And there's a lifespan to relationships. There's a lifespan to many and most things in our lives. If we can really see life as a cycle, rather than being a beginning and an end, it's a cycle we're moving through, then we can be less in the grasping, less in the needing things to stay the same, that we trust that the movement of this cycle will support change and we'll be okay with it. The fourth is forgiveness, such a powerful lens, it is a major superpower of ours. Forgiveness is top on the spiritual superpower list because it allows us to heal ourselves and to help heal the world. And if inherently our job or our task or our purpose is to come into the world bringing our gifts and work towards healing and peace for all humankind, for the planet, for all living, all sentient beings, then forgiveness is a key to this. If we don't have forgiveness, we're going to stumble upon the normal things that come up in life, and we're going to get stuck. Because without forgiveness, you can't move forward. It stops you in a situation, in a relationship. It stops you from being able to continue to expand. There's no expansion in forgiveness. There's only contraction. So really important for us to move into forgiveness. Cultivating forgiveness is creating a space in your heart where you can try out the magnitude of forgiveness. It doesn't have to be the entirety of you that steps into it and says, I'm totally fine with forgiving everything. Fine, it's just happening and I'm okay. It's not that way. We have to move into it. It's a journey. It's tough. Forgiveness is tough. But if we can carve out a place in our heart where we're trying it on, maybe we can't do it 24/7 with certain situations, but we can try it on. How long can I hold myself in this place of forgiveness around this particular relationship or situation or truth that I'm not content with? How long can I hold on to it? And it's a practice. But it is the biggest freedom that we will have in our lives, personally, in our lives. When we move into forgiveness, this is our liberation. Personal liberation comes through forgiveness. The fifth of these superpower lenses is humility. And humility is really the ability to see ourselves as we are. It allows us to be accurate in our assessment of our strengths and our weaknesses in a healthy way, not in a diminished way where I'm not good at this, I can't do that, I always fail at this. It's not the negativity, it's the sinking into, I actually am really good at a bunch of things, but I don't have to have that as my heightened offering into the world that I'm good. I can simply be as I am and offer that quietly. It's the softness. Humility has a softness to it that we carry into the world. I would venture to say that the women on this call, there's a lot of humility that's already juicy in our community, but as a lens to imagine that it's giving us an opportunity to see ourselves for who we are. And often we don't want to see the places where we don't think or believe we're whole because it feels uncomfortable. And we need to change our lens to not be seeing things as incomplete or not whole, but just as truth. How we are is true. It's not diminishing. It's not a diminishment of ourselves. It's an acknowledgement of ourselves and how we are in the fullness of who we are. There isn't a perfection, this idea that we're working towards some perfection in order to be elevated in our spiritual journey, that we're going to sew all the holes together and then we're going to have a complete fabric and we're going to move on, is not true. It's true when we accept who we are, we work to improve what we are interested in sewing together. How are we sewing the holes that we wish to, that are impediments to our relationships and to our life? Those things we want to work on, but we can accept, I'm not good at everything. That's absolutely true. And I'm not, there's no frailness in that. That's the truth and the reality. Humility allows us to see that. One of the ways to develop humility is to ask a close friend, tell me how you see me with honesty. Siddhi and I go through this practice every few months. How are you experiencing me and how are you experiencing my offering into the world and who I am? And where is my growing edge? We all have a growing edge. Where is my growing edge that I can use to keep expanding? Ask a dear friend that you trust and allow them to be honest with you. The sixth secret lens for which we can see our superpowers is contentment. And contentment is having a peace of mind of peacefulness. It's a happiness regardless of our external circumstances. This is the Buddhist teaching. This is every spiritual teaching you will come across. We want to find contentment and joy and peace regardless of what's happening externally, because if we are connected to what's happening externally, it's going to affect our internal world, which affects all of us. If we can't separate ourselves, this is the non-attachment. If we can't separate ourselves from that which is happening externally, to be a part of it, to observe it, to be willing to enter in where our peace is, but to let go of that which is not ours. This is a daily journey. Let go of that which is not yours to fix, solve, change, eradicate. It's not yours. If it's not yours, don't take it on. One of the big Buddhist tenets, we don't take on that which is not ours. One of the ways to develop contentment is in the beautiful gratitude practices that we've spoken of and that I know many of you have. Practicing the expressing of gratitude and the blessings that we do have allows us to keep a balance. So in spite of that, which is still a struggle for us in our lives, whether the relationships or our physical body challenges, whatever are the struggles we have, inevitably there are also places that we can be in gratitude. And when we recognize those, whether we're writing them down or we're just speaking them to ourselves, or we're creating rituals around it, reminding ourselves of what is working in our lives allows us to deal more evenly with that which is not. The seventh area is compassion. And compassion is the ability, of course, to feel and have an entry point into other people's suffering. And without compassion, this earth, this planet cannot be healed. The planet, the individuals on the planet, the humankind cannot be healed until we are willing to step into someone else's shoes and feel that which is happening for them. We can't offer the open-heartedness that's necessary for healing. So cultivating compassion, again, another Buddhist tenet is the compassion element. Compassion allows us to move from duality, where I am separate from, into a life of integration, where I'm just a piece of the whole. I'm not the whole. This is a very important movement for us in our spiritual journey. Compassion is one of the most important weapons against violence and hatred. And certainly in this country, excuse me, we can imagine where compassion is necessary now for the healing that's really being called for in our country on so many different levels. It's so apparent. And that we can affect change by simply staying in that place of compassion ourselves. Start with self-compassion. How to develop compassion? You start with self-compassion. If we don't have self-compassion, how can we imagine compassion for someone else? Excuse me. If we don't know what compassion feels or looks like, how are we going to extend it? And the place to start is with ourselves. Have self-compassion for your own places of brokenness. We all have brokenness around relationships and family and our capacities and our offerings into the world that haven't been received and accepted. If we can't look at those as reality for us, but not the defining nature, we are not defined by our frailties. If we allow ourselves and society to be defined by the worst moments, we're going to be in a bad place. We are defined by the places where we can affect change and healing. So we have to step into that for ourselves. Number 8 is adaptability. We spoke a little bit about this morning before we started, about being adaptable to that which is coming into our lives, allowing that there are things we can't control. And when we can find a new way to engage in, whether it's our surroundings or relationships or our health, whatever it is, we have to see it differently. We have to adapt. This is how mankind has continued. We adapt. If we don't adapt, we die out. We have to be adaptive. And this is a conscious effort. When we look at something that we're bumping up against, how do I become adaptive around this? How do I adopt new ideas, new possibilities, new ways of being? If I don't invite those in, it's not going to happen. Every situation that comes up for us, this is like such a great thing as you become grandmothers in the world. This is a great place for us to practice adaptability, because we're not feeling so responsible. We're one generation removed, and we have an opportunity to watch something unfold without feeling like we have to step in and change it. So look for places in your life where you can step back and find new ways to receive that which is happening. And maybe there's a new solution, and maybe the solution is doing nothing. And we're being adaptive by allowing it to develop itself. One of the ways to practice adaptability is to take on just one thing, one situation, one person in your life that makes you crazy and that you're unsettled about, and find 3 ways to step back. 3 ways that you can learn to live in that situation and adapt yourself. What can you do in your life to adapt without trying to change someone else? Maybe it's a mindset. Maybe it's removing yourself from the fire of that person. Maybe it's moving back, giving yourself more spaciousness. That's how you adapt. but you are consciously making a change in yourself so that you can tolerate something that is driving you crazy. The ninth of our lens is prayer. And we can talk about prayer in religious sort of ways, but we also can look at prayer as our relationship with the divine consciousness. It can be used through meditation. It can be used through words, through malas and mantras and mudras, and all of the ways that we connect to the divine consciousness that is happening, whether we want to enter into it or not. It's there all the time. So when we develop a practice of stepping into that, using one of our more silent ways of engaging, not silent in that there's no noise, but in the solitude. When we start using solitude to enter into divine consciousness, we find that our connectedness to it is more of an ease. And that plays into our intuition, it plays into our inspiration, it plays into our adaptability. Everything happens out of how connected are we to the divine source. That source is both inside of us and outside of us. It's everywhere, it permeates everything. It cannot be controlled. So we just have to tap into it. It's like a floodgate. So I know, Siddhi, that we're still going on, and I know I'm cognizant of our time, and we're going to we'll talk about this when I finish, but this is important. I want to finish these pieces. Developing this connectedness is what will allow us to utilize all of our other superpowers. Because without this connectedness, we don't have the fire. Prayer connects us in a way that we have the fire underneath of us that keeps us in the motivation and in the inspiration to be doing this work. The spiritual journey and work of uncovering ourselves and offering ourselves into the world is deep work. It's not for the faint of heart. You have chosen to be part of a circle that's working on being able to make this our life force into the world, that as women, we want to be 110% of what we can offer, not just like 80%. We want to be vital and vibrant and alive. And so having that connectedness with divine source is really important. We can develop this through, all of the different practices that we've talked about, the meditation, the journaling, the mantras, the mudras, the malas, all of that is ways of bringing solitude in and allowing prayer to connect us, prayer, meditation, solitude to connect us to divine love, to divine source. And the 10th of these lenses is love. And love is the most basic of the human emotions. We're born with it. It's the first thing we feel for our mother and our father, for those around us who are holding us. Love is what motivates us to care for others and to seek relationships. It's essential in our happiness and our well-being. It has many layers and qualities. It's complex. Love can be happy and warm. It can be passionate and intense. It can be full of joy, and it can be fraught with pain. And the way that we develop love is to stop seeing it as something we do and start just being love. It's not about acquiring a certain type of attention or offering a certain type of attention into the world or into those that we care about. We become love. Our expression of everything we say and do becomes love. It's not a doing in the way that we think we do. It's a becoming. And this is a really important superpower for us, because the more love you can spill over into the world, you're not only affecting yourself, because that place from where love comes is healing for you and is the juiciest, most joyful place of yourself, but it's also healing for those around you and for the planet we live on. This is really important for us. It has to ooze out of us. And it connects these 10 lenses through which we see the development of our superpowers are the ways in which we step into the world in a really strong and forceful way without looking forceful, where power becomes something more subtle. The subtle power is what we really carry. So the second path, I said this, there were two paths into our superpowers. The second path of our superpowers are the talents, the strengths, the passions, that which you came in with. And I want to say that all of you hold a whole list of superpowers, an innate superpowers: flexibility, creativity, thoughtfulness, sharp mind, physical strength, organizational skills, communication, manifester. All of these are things that you do naturally. And people will say, well, you're so good at that. Yes, you are. How do we take these 10 lenses to heighten these innate superpowers that we have? So I would like for you this week to make a list of your superpowers that you already inhabit and post them on your bathroom mirror, your car dashboard, your kitchen cabinets. I want this, the truth of who we are and who you are in life, to be part of your daily consciousness, so that your superpowers, you start to recognize, I'm carrying a whole bag of them with me everywhere I go. Yes, I'm honing and practicing and disciplining myself to develop those and the other qualities which also support my super innate powers. But I already have powers, and those powers those are the place of ease for me to offer into the world. If I'm not naturally a communicator, I don't want to choose the path of having to be a communicator all the time. Let's choose the path where it's of ease. Communication is a great thing to develop for me. But when I bump up against it, I stop to remember that I have other superpowers that I'm not actually using that will come with great ease. So make the list of the things that you have that are innately in your being and that you can carry into the world with great ease. Great ease. I want that on your kitchen cabinet, on your car dashboard, and on your bathroom mirror this week, the list. It might be several Post-it notes, ladies. I want it up. I want you to live into that consciousness of your superpowers. And because I've taken up all our time, but I really wanted to finish that. We can choose to not chant at all, or Siddhi could start the chant, and those who want to stay on to chant can do so, and those who need to leave can do so. I'll leave that up to Siddhi to decide, because that's my superpower. I'm delegating.
Yeah, I think, for just so you know, it's like 7 minutes total with closing. So I think I just go ahead, and for those who can't join for the remaining time, you just check out. I would like for us to come back to the Kali Mudra. All fingers interlaced, except index fingers pointing forward, left thumb over right, heels of your hands are touching. And keep this mudra in front of your solar plexus. And feel the power in your hands. We're bringing our hands into prayer pose. Inhaling deeply. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We see you for our 92nd time next Saturday.
Live into your superpowers, ladies.
Bye-bye.